Hi lovelies, welcome back to the channel Style by C. Today's tutorial will be on how to recreate this beautiful piece. Do subscribe to the channel, share to friends, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much. The first thing we're going to do now is I'm just going to make a rough sketch of what we're going to make. So we have something like this. We are starting off with the flay first. The flay is into 3 layers. Okay, then this area is the upper part of gown, something like this. Please, this is just a rough sketch. So bear with me. So this is just a rough sketch. So this is the upper part, this is the 3 layers from the waist to the down part. Okay, so now the full length of the gown I'm working with from my shoulder measurement to the floor length is 64 inches. All right, so I'm going to minus from my shoulder to my waistline from this 64 inches. So from the shoulder to my half length or my waistline is 16 inches. So 64 minus 16. So now we're going to be working with 64 minus our half length, and I have 48 inches. So what I have now is from the waistline to the floor length is 48 inches. That is from here to here. We have 48 inches. So we're going to divide this 48 inches into 3 proportions to fit in here. Okay, so now the first thing to do is 48 inches, you're going to divide it by 3. So this is 48 inches. Go ahead and divide it by 3, or you can divide it and make, you can decide not to make it equal proportion. Maybe the first layer will be smaller, the second layer will be bigger than the first layer, and the third layer will be the largest. Okay, that is the length. Or you can decide to make it equal. If you want to make it equal, you go ahead and do 48 divided by 3. So if you're doing it in unequal proportion, you're going to divide it by 3, and you're going to have 16 inches. That's each piece is going to be, each step is going to be 16 inches. Okay, but for this tutorial, I want the first step to be smaller, shorter in size. The second step will be longer than the first one, and the third step will be more lengthy than the first 2. Okay, so to do that now, I'm going to write the first tie. The first one is going to be 12 inches. The second step, or the second tie, is going to be 16 inches, and the third tie is going to be 20 inches. Okay, so this is what I mean: 1, 2, and 3. All right, so now we're going to, so guys, the first tie we have, the length was 12 inches, the second one was 16 inches, and the third one was 20 inches. Okay, now we're going to be calculating, this is the length of each tie or each step. Now the next thing to do is to calculate the volume of each tie. All right, so now your waist measurements will come into play. So for the first one, which is 12, you're going to be multiplying your waist measurements by 1.5. So 28 inches, my waist measurement is 28 inches. Yours may differ. All right, so 28 inches times 1.5. So when I multiply 28 by 1.5, I have 42 inches. Okay, then for the second tie or the second step, I'm going to replace this 28 inches I have here, because this thing is going to be serving as the bottom of that the first piece. All right, so we're going to now have 42 inches times 1.5. Okay, so the first step is 28 times 1.5, which gave us 42. The second step is now going to be 42 times 1.5, which is 63 inches. All right, then the third step is going to be 63 inches times 1.5, and what you're going to have is 94.5 inches. Okay, so this is what we're going to be working with. The length, we have 12, 16, and 20. Then the volume, for the first step, we have 42 inches. That is the volume of the fabric we're going to use. The second step, we have 63 inches. The third step, we have 94.5 inches. So this is for the down part of the skirt. Down part of the gown, sorry. So guys, the first thing we're going to be marking is the half length we are working with. So our half length is 16 inches, and I'm going ahead to add extra half an inch to it. All right, this is for my stitching allowance. That's what I do for all my half lengths. I add extra half to it. Now the next thing to mark is my shoulder measurement. So if your shoulder is 8 inches, go ahead and remove 1. If it's 7, remove 1. If it's 9, remove 1. So mine is 8. I'm removing 1 to have 7. The neck width I'm working with is 2.5 inches. Reason is I don't want it to slack at the neck area because it's going to be a turtleneck. Then at the shoulder measurement point, I'm marking 1 inch for my shoulder slope. This is what I have. Having done this now, from this point now, I'm going to go down by 7.5 inches, which is my armhole measurement. To get yours, what you have to do is divide your bust measurement by 6. Go ahead and add 1.5 inch to it. You will get yours. Then the next thing to do is to create your armhole curve. So divide what you have left here into 2 to get the midpoint. All right. You come in by 1/2 inch. You're just creating just a normal basic armhole curve. So this is what we have. All right. The next thing I'm going ahead to do now is the neck depth. This is for my front piece. All right. So for my neck depth, I'm going to be coming down to 2.5 inches for my neck depth. Kindly note this is for the front piece, and this is what I have. Okay. Now from the upper part of it, I'm going to be marking the nipple points, which is at 10 inches, the underbust, which is at 13 inches. I'm going to make a horizontal row across. You can decide to put a breast pad to this dress, but for this particular one, I'm going to be creating a breast pad illusion. All right, so I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple measurements, which also has the dart. Mine is 4 inches. I'm going ahead to mark it from the center point inwards, and this is what we have. Okay, now go ahead and divide your shoulder measurements, the shoulder slope, that is what you have left on your shoulder, into 2 to get the midpoint. So this is what I do, and this is where my midpoint lies. Now I'm going to be connecting it to this nipple point of mine. And this is what I have. Okay, now if you notice our dress or the gown is kind of striking, like you have a keyhole at below the neck area. So what I have to do now is you're going to determine where this second part of the blouse, that is the main part of the blouse, is going to kick off from or start from. So I'm going to be working with 6.5 inches. You can decide to work with 7 inches, which is totally fine, but for this I'm going to be working with 6.5 inches. Or you can go with dividing your under bust and your nipple point. This is U, this is N, or sorry, B, bust points into 2. Get the midpoint, which is 1.5. Then from your chest line, which is here, C, you mark 1.5 inches to get where this part is going to start from. Okay, so mine is starting from here. I intentionally use 6.5 inches because I don't want my cleavage to be exposed. So now I'm going to go ahead and make a row down. across. So this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do is on this line I'm going to mark half inch on both sides. Please remember I said I'm not putting a breast pad, but I'm creating a breast pad illusion. So now from this half inch on both sides of this line, this is the new chest line we're working with now. I'm going to connect it to the bust point. This is what I have. Now I've removed 1 inch here, half inches on both sides. I'm going to add it back to this area plus half inch stitching allowance. Okay, so this is what I have. Then I'm going to go ahead and on this chest line, the previous chest line, I'll mark my bust measurements, which is 8.5. Measure what I have here. I have half an inch plus 1 inch stitching allowance, making it 1.5. These are not my actual body seam allowance, like actual seam allowance. Then waist measurement 7 plus 2 inches seam allowance. Then here I'm going to add my seam allowance to the dress and connect the two. So this is what I have. Then I'm going to also go ahead and retrace my armhole. So this is our new armhole for this part. This is the first part. Okay, so this area now, you can decide to make yours to be a sweetheart, like just give it that stylish look. You can decide to just leave it on a straight form. Anyhow you think it is going to work for you, you go ahead and do it. So this is what we have now. Now for the upper part of it, like the area that is going to have a keyhole, this is what we're going to do. First of all, from this neck width now, we're going to be connecting to this armhole we have here, which is going to go in this way from here from this point now. Okay, I made a mistake at this point now, because doing this is going to make it look like a halter neck entirely, but this is not really a halter neck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my tape. So from this neck width now, I'm going to mark 2 inches. All right, what I'm marking 2 inches meant to be 1.5 inches, but 2 inches for seam allowance. So from this point I'm going to mark 2 inches on the shoulder seam, and from there I'm going to be making a curve into the new armhole. So this is what we have. Please discard this. We're not working with this. Okay, so this is our new distance. So let me cut it down so it's not. So this is what I mean. So this is what I mean. Alright, so this is for the upper part. We are still going to come back to this. So this is for the upper part. We're going to split it open. Remember we said we just want to have something that looks like a breast part, but not actually a breast part. So this is what we're going to have for this. We'll keep it aside. Then we'll work on this proper. Now, the dress we're working on. The upper part, which is kind of the keyhole, did not stop at this point. it came towards this armhole area, this chest line. It came inside. So now we're going to work on that part proper. So we're going to be transferring this to another piece of paper. Alright guys, so the next thing I went ahead to do was to place the pattern paper. This is the first pattern paper we worked on top of another pattern paper, and trace it out. So this is what I have. Okay, sorry, it's looking tacky. So this is what we have. This is where the chest line is, the first chest line. This is where the second one is. So I'm connecting this to this. Now the next thing to do now is, because of, remember this first layer, this where this piece, this upper part is going to align with your armhole area. Okay, so now we're going to be retracing this armhole. The first armhole stops here. It stopped at this point. Okay, this is for preview, but now this armhole is going to go straight to this point, to this chest line that we have here. So we're going ahead to retrace this. So what you have to do is you pick up your curve drill and retrace. So this is what we have now. Okay, if you look at it, you see that there is some changes. So this is what we have. Then the neck area, our neck depth still remains 2.5 inches. Okay, the width is 2.52. Now we're going to be connecting the two of them together. This is what we have here previously, this part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Okay, now we're going to be creating our, we're going to go ahead and create the keyhole that is going to be here. So that's what we're going to go ahead and create now. Okay guys, so now the next thing I'm going to do now, this is our chest line. From this chest line, I'm going to come up by 3 inches, which is here. This is where I have my 3 inches. You can decide to come up by 3.5 inches, depending on how open or deep you want yours to be. Okay, so this is what I have. Now I'm going to be making a curve into this part. But before then, at this chest line area, I'm going to also come down by 2 inches. Alright. Then I'm going to be connecting it to this 3.5 I have here. Then go ahead and make your curve. So this is not really giving the vibe we want. So another thing you have to do is you have to make it curvy. Okay, like this part now, what I want him to do is to blend my curve inwards like this. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and cut out this piece. So this is going to be giving us our keyhole area. Okay, so if you think maybe the keyhole is too small, what you have to do is just increase this point. Like we have 3.5 here, you can decide to make it 4 inches. Just note that the more you do it, the more open it's going to be. I'm going to reduce this by, I'm going to be adding extra 1/2 inch to this place. Guys, this is what we have. Okay, so I've increased it to this point and reduced it here. So 1/2 inch here, then I increase it by 1/2 inch here. Okay, so I'm going ahead to cut it. So this is what we're going to be having. So this is for the cape that is going to be in front. Then you're going to assemble your first front you make. This is what we have. This is what it's going to look like, because you're going to join these two. So guys, this is what we're going to have. Okay, this is what the pieces is going to look like when you're done joining it. So you join these two together and join these two. Okay, so now we're going to work on the back piece. Alright guys, so this is for our back piece. The first thing first is the half length of your dress. So we're working with 16.5 inches. Then I marked 1.5 inch out for my zip allowance. Okay, so from this point now, I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement. Please remember the shoulder measurements you used for the front one. That's what you still use here. Go ahead and mark 1 inch down for your shoulder slope, 2.5 inches for the neck width. Okay, you can decide to use 3, it's fine. Okay, so next thing to mark now is the chest line, which is at 7.5 inches. Seven and a half inches I mean is from the shoulder slope below. Okay, I'm going ahead to create my armhole curve. Just the normal way you do it, nothing too serious is involved here. Then I'm going ahead to mark my bust measurements, my waist measurements. Then I'll add 2 inches seam allowance to them. Or you can decide to work with 1.5 inch seam allowance. So this is what we have. Then coming to the shoulder slope, remember we'll mark 2 inches for the front piece. So I'm going to go ahead and also mark 2 inches for this area too. And I'm going to make a curve inwards. Note, you can decide to work, make your own stylishly, maybe have it, cut it, like put a keyhole at the back area piece. But I'm not doing that. I'm just going to cut, just doing the normal back piece. The only difference is the zip area and this curve we have at the armhole area. All right, that is what we have here. So this is what I have. So this is what I have for my dress, and I'm going to cut it down. The next thing to do now is to mark the neck depth for my back piece. So for the back piece, I'm going to be working with 2 inches. I'm going to be working with 1.75 inches, or you can decide to work with 1.5 inches. That is for the neck depth of your back piece. Then I'm going to go ahead and make my curve. So this is what I have, and I'm going to transfer this to my fabric. So guys, another thing I skipped is this is the breast part area, that is our front piece. This area now, we're going to be making a slight curve into this armhole piece. Okay, so that is one thing I didn't talk about. So sorry, I skipped this. So I'm going ahead to trim up this part. It's going off. So that's what I'm going to do now.